Kindness. What is kindness? Who should you bestow kindness upon? And who should you receive kindness from? I'm Dr. George Flynn, and you're watching InDepth TV. Today we're going to talk about kindness and education, because what I came across is several quotations about kindness. And one of them was, one of the saddest things is a kindness that is done a day too late. It's too late. And anytime you think that you want to do something kind for someone, I'm urging you, do it now. Because tomorrow is not guaranteed. You can't be guaranteed to do it tomorrow, and they may need the kindness right now. And you may have that sense that they need a kindness, some kind of word of encouragement, or just a simple gesture of kindness, buying a cup of coffee, giving a dime to someone, doing something kind for someone. Well, you say, I don't know about being kind. I can be kind to a stranger who walks up with his hand out, or I can be kind to someone I don't know. But what about being kind to your family? What about being kind to your wife or husband or children or parents or grandparents? What about the kindness that they deserve? Sometimes they say familiarity breeds contempt. In other words, you're so familiar with someone that you don't really think about them as people. You think about them as institutions, and you don't think about them as people needing to hear a kind word. You don't think about people needing to hear you say, it's okay. And you may not have to do anything. You may just have to listen. And several quotes that I have seen and got me thinking, and I hope will get you thinking, are from a guy named Ralph Waldo Emerson. Now, you may have heard of him as a poet. He lived in the early 1800s to the late 1800s. And he actually went to Harvard at age 14, graduated from Harvard at age 18. So he was pretty smart. He graduated about in the middle of his class, in a class of 59 people. But he had a school of thinking, deep thinking, and poetry that we all have probably learned to quote. Some of his quotations are very interesting. One of them is, we are shut up in schools and college recitation rooms for 10 or 15 years. And we come out at last with a belly full of words and do not know a thing. In other words, your education begins when you learn how to learn. And that's what, grammar school, high school, college, trade school, you learn some of the things you need to know to be able to learn. It's like a football team. Getting that degree gets you onto the football field, or a baseball team gets you on the baseball field. It doesn't show you how to play the game. It just gets you on the field. Then it's up to you as to how to play the game. So the education that you get is to learn how to learn. And one of the things I'd like you to learn is not necessarily a book learning thing. It's when to be kind. You will know it. You feel it. You feel a tug at yourself. Hey, I should do this. But no, I'm too busy. I'm going to do something else. When actually you probably should stop and do whatever it is your inner self tells you to do. Now, okay, it may take you 3, 4, maybe even 5 minutes. But after you have that 3, 4, or 5 minutes, when you go home 3, 4, or 5 minutes later, you will have the satisfaction of knowing you did the right thing, rather than spend the rest of the evening regretting not doing the right thing. I found myself doing that several times. I found myself seeing someone that I needed to say. So I was driving down the street and I saw someone and I said, I need to say something to them. But I passed them and I said, wait a minute, let's stop. So I got in the left-hand turn lane, I turned left, I turned around, and I came back and I stopped by them and I pulled over in a safe place and I rolled down the window and I said, I just want to tell you whatever it is I needed to tell you. And now I did know these people. I didn't just go up to some stranger, roll down the window and start talking to them, but I did know the person, and I've done that several times, and I'm sure you have wanted to do it. And this is to urge you to go ahead and do it. I'll tell you one of his other quotations. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is one of the greatest accomplishments you can have. Now that's to be yourself. You know, you were born yourself. And you're in the world, and the world is constantly trying to make you something else to fit the world's view of what you should do and what you should be. The greatest accomplishment that you can, one of the greatest ones that you can have, is to actually be yourself and pay attention to what you think is right, not what everybody else thinks is right. Get back to kindness. If you think you need to do a kindness, that's being yourself. Let's do it, because you cannot do a kindness too soon, because you never know how soon it will be too late. We've all been to funerals, and I've seen, there's an old story, it may be a myth, seen a story about a man that, the wife had died, and she was in this beautiful dress. And he was told, said, well, isn't that a beautiful dress? And he said, yes, I got it for her and didn't give it to her yet because I just forgot to give it to her. And now I buried her in it. But she never got to wear the dress. She never got to enjoy that dress. So that was a regret. Now that may be over-dramatizing it, but I'm saying there's small things that you can do, kind things, because you never know when it'll be too late to do that kindness. One of his other quotations, Ralph Waldo Emerson, if you tuned in a little late, it was a high counsel that I once heard given to a young person. Now, a young person, and somebody gave him some advice. Always do what you're afraid to do. You know, and that is so important. Expand your boundaries. Expand your limits. If you're afraid to do something, now it may be dangerous, don't do that. But if you're afraid to do public speaking, a lot of people are afraid of public speaking. And there's been, you've heard the surveys, people are more afraid of public speaking than they're afraid of dying. I understand that one, but do what you're afraid to do, because that's where you grow. If you're going to do the same thing every day, all day, the same routine every day, and not change and not do a little more, not do a little thing different, then maybe you're just living that life as they show in the movie Groundhog Day. Same thing every day. So I hope you will consider doing some things you're afraid to do. When I first took up flying, I was saying, whoa, should I be doing this? First time you get up in the air, and then especially when you solo, you're up in the air and you say to yourself, if I'm going to get this thing back down on the ground, I have to do it because there's nobody else in here to help me. I was afraid to do it. Always do what you're afraid to do, especially if you actually know you can do it with someone else helping you. That was flying. But always do it by yourself if at all possible and it's not too dangerous. There's, in excited conversation, we have glimpses of the universe, hints of the power native to the soul, far darting lights and shadows of an Andes landscape, such we can hardly attain in lone meditation. What we're saying here, what Ralph Waldo Emerson says, is converse with other people. You get glimpses of the universe, hints of power of your soul, lights and shadows of Andes landscape. We can hardly attain this in lone meditation. And by lone meditation, what we're beginning to talk about now is people being on their devices. Yes, that screen can become your best friend, but it's not a person. You really can't reach out and shake their hand. You can send an emoji. You can text. You can do these kind of things. But it excited conversation that we want you to have. We want you to interact with other people, because once you do that, what can you do? You can be kind. You can be kind to other people. You can let them be kind to you. You can have this interaction that it comes close, but you really can't have the full interpersonal interaction on a screen. I know there's FaceTime and there's Skype and there are all kind of video chats, but you really can't have that unless you have this one-on-one, person-to-person. It's always better to be face-to-face than clicking from place to place. There are oracles sometimes profusely given to which the memory goes back in barren hours. There are these things when you're alone. When you're alone and, in the middle of the night, you wake up with this great idea, fantastic idea. And yet, in the morning, you're really not sure that it's really a good idea. But in the middle of the night, it sounds great. And these ideas are so good in the middle of the night, sometimes they're good. The last quote I would like to talk about for a second: do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. You be a path finder, a path maker. Leave a trail. Leave a trail for other people. Leave the world a better place. And be kind on the way. The journey is the big answer. It's not the destination, it's the journey. And being kind during that journey is what I suggest that you look at. I'm George Flynn. You've been watching InDepth TV. I'll see you next time.